With the air traffic controller, we have tried to get a feeling of a realistic situation. So when in real life, when you have different planes coming to an airport, you need some kind of control, you need rules, you need a way of making sure everything is going to plan. So we have been trying to get the same behavior in Star Citizen. So up to now, when you approach a station, you just have to land, and that was it. Now you have to request landing, which implies a communication with someone, an NPC, which can be a real NPC or a automatic voice.
One hangar coming up.
Telling you where you can land, or if there's no space available, or anything like that. There's also a control over how much you can stay in a landing pad, like security measures and so on.
Right now, players can just land everywhere they want. There's nothing controlling them. There's nothing saying, oh, you should park here. There's no rules to that. And we needed to find a system that basically coordinates landing, taking off, and also creating more immersion on what actually flight controls are.
The concept behind our game is to be very realistic in what we do. So we do a lot of research in anything that goes on, and especially that definitely does not leave out the air traffic controller. So we've done a lot of research into what air traffic controllers do. When we were on set in filming in PCAP, it was really important, because the game was really very much filmed like a movie. And so as we went about tracking and trying to maintain and manage the content, it was very clear that we needed to focus on the implementation side and to use that as a way to track how the PCAP should be cut up and the way it should be organized. And so utilizing that background of implementation, I made sure that we tracked our PCAP in a way that was ultimately feasible to edit the project and actually track how it was being cut up and on the editing board. It's really a behavioral thing. And so while we can record all the context and all the different dialogue that we want, it really becomes, it really comes down to our systems to really be able to handle it. And yeah, our engineering team is just phenomenal. They are really pushing the boundary of what AI can really handle, and making it a real systemic module of behavior, so that it's not just like, oh, these guys do this thing or whatever. It's a real air traffic controller module that's defining all of these behaviors, and it's not even just one voice. It's defining the whole ballet of all the different people doing all the signals, and they're an AI saying, oh, they can go, you have to take off, or you can land, and if you go here, all those kind of things. It's a whole ballet of all these characters involved.
Well, one of the more complicated things is that it's not working like in real life where everyone behaves as they should be, right? It is still a game and players do what they want sometimes. So we need to make sure to have rules in place which allow players to actually have an immersive experience, but also don't abuse other players as well and have punishment almost when they not follow the rules.
We have to account for the silly, stupid things like the player strafing the station or flying too close, and they have to react in a way that is both helpful to the player to not do that, but it's also it's a game. It happens, and it's fun and it's entertaining.
So every flight controller is its own AI. When you hailing a tower to request landing or takeoff, you're going to be in contact with an actual subsumption-driven AI, which has, depending on the station, unique voice lines or a generic one.
There, she'll be waiting for you in the hangar.
And you will talk specifically only to that AI, and that will give the response. So there is an air traffic controller entity, which is a combined version of the seats we already have and the usable system other designers are working on. And an AI will sit down and basically have sensors or feelers, you could say, to check how many ships are in the radius, what ships request landing, what pads are free, what are occupied, what are the different stations of occupation of these pads, and will then, according to that, address landing pads to players. There's a couple of bespoke ones for special stations like Levski or Grimhex or Port Olisar. And there's also a generic one, a generic computer system, which also picks up if there's, for whatever reason, no flight operator available. Because our flight operators are actually physically placed in the station. So you could basically stand in the station, see him talking to someone, and whoever is on the ship would see the same thing. So it's a one-to-one transition. Let's say that station gets attacked, or that guy is out of an emergency, or whatever is not there. We have a backup system that picks up, which is a generic computer voice, and that will handle the flight operation then.
If you think about it, we have a big amount of content to get, and we like a big piece of cake. The sponge is the big part of what we do. But there's also cake needs some icing, needs some flavor. And so we like to, have a general kind of voice set that is used across the galaxy. And we also like to have some nice specific characters that are placed in locations and give a good flavor to certain things. Like, for instance, Levski. We have a general ATC, but we also have this flight ops dude in Levski that's kind of like a California dude like me.
Hey there! On behalf of the People's Alliance, welcome to Levski. Name's Eslin. I run the hangars here, which is great for you, because you're probably looking to land.
And he's a great character, and he provides a lot of good character to that landing space. And it's fun for players to enjoy that specific character set rather than having just a big universe of always general characters running around.
So this is a little bit more complicated than just triggering a voice. You need animations for an NPC, because if you go to a specific place in the station, you will see this NPC talking to someone. Maybe it's not you, but he's talking to someone, and you can see how he's communicating with other people. We need to make sure this is synchronized in the network with everyone. We need to make sure if different players are talking to the ATC's air traffic controller. You need to make sure that two people don't get the same landing area. You need to make sure they are not told at the same time by the same NPC, because as real people, they can only talk to one person at a time. So there are several synchronization and network issues we have to consider while working on this. We have had some challenges regarding, for example, how you control items. Our current system usually has like a priority system to control which NPC is in charge of a specific item. So you can have, for example, in a ship, one NPC controlling the weapons while another NPC is controlling the ship. But if the NPC controlling the weapons leaves, the pilot takes control over the weapons, things like that. Because of this system, it was not easy to get the air traffic controller controlled by several NPCs at the same time without having one priority over the others. So we have had to do different systems in code, so one single ATC can be controlled by several operators at the same time.
Since we're using the one-to-one transition, like a live feed to that AI you're talking to, which is playing the animations, that means only one AI can technically talk to one player at the same time. So the particular challenge there was to get multiple AIs work together as an air traffic controller crew, you could say, and handle multiple requests at the same time and not get overlapped or like take requests of each other or multiply address the same player. So that was a challenge we tackled with subsumption and the group activity behaviors we have to get them all working together in a nicely fashion.
The typical air traffic controller is very much, or at least for our system, it's like an answering machine where you call up a company and you like, okay, navigate me through getting a landing pad and what to do, and then they tell you how to, okay, we need money, pay for this landing, okay, you don't have enough credits, but it's an answering service that kind of takes that.
When we designed the system, we looked at two things mainly. One was like real life air traffic control at the airport or at military vessels, like an aircraft carrier. And the other thing was there's also a lot of flight simulations out there where like it's not really an MMO, but you have actual people sitting in a tower and directing other people to land and take off and give like away landing, not landing pads technically, but yeah, it gives more lives to the station, right? It is some more people you talk to in the station, and they actually have feedback for you, and it's not always going to be the same. Hopefully we have like different variants for that.
And done. Welcome to Levski.
The player has more interactions with the world itself, instead of just having the world giving everything to the player.
Yeah, I mean, the air traffic controller is just a great subset of what we do here at Cloud Imperium, because it's just a one many facet of all the different systems that we do and how we put everything into something. So it's just a great example.